Let's listen to this man. He got some good news for you. Hey, everybody, gather near. The doctor's in the house, so lend him your ear. The things he can say might even make your day. He might even help your pain go away. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house. Doctor is
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Ron. I hope everything turns out good today. It looks like the Wi-Fi is toggling between poor and excellent service, but that's typical here in Southwest Florida. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we continue, and I hope that this does make it on the air. We continue to talk about the medical cartel and why you have to be your own physician and why you have to be Socratic, and that is think. You have to think. Socrates said, I cannot teach anybody anything but how to think. So it's really important. And Hippocrates said, there are, in fact, two things, science and opinion. The former begets knowledge, the latter, ignorance. So we need to follow the science, not just the opinions, okay? Follow the science, because there is going to be a lot of rhetoric going on as we change medicine to a science-based, not a pharmaceutical-based, not a pharmaceutical-based entity. So sorry about that. So again, I'm here to ask you, what if I told you the healthcare system is not designed to make you healthy, but to keep you sick, dependent, and profitable? So let's continue to pull back this curtain week by week on the reality behind the white coats, how the medical machine was built, how it is sustained, and how it traps you in sickness care instead of health care. This topic I've been talking about for years, but just to go on a little rabbit trail, The Lancet recently reported an article and actually published the article that exposes this system and how the system stacks up against other wealthy nations when it comes to preventing chronic disease, deaths. And ladies and gentlemen, it is an embarrassing article to me. Because again, the United States placed dead last among high-income Western companies in reducing deaths from chronic disease, despite the fact that we spend more than anyone else. Our seniors especially are getting the worst results. Now they're admitting what you have heard on this podcast for years. American medicine is failing, while other countries are lowering deaths from heart disease, cancer, diabetes. What's America doing? We're sliding backwards. That's why I took a break from bringing you up-to-date medical news that you can use in order to talk about the foundation of why we're in this condition. The medical education in this country was built for pharmaceuticals. And I told you last week, in the early 1900s, medicine was diverse. There was herbalists, homeopaths, energy healers, osteopaths, all practicing side by side. Then here comes Rockefeller and Carnegie. They saw medicine as a business opportunity. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and they authored and paid for the Flexner Report of 1910. That basically wiped out all the competition. Medical schools were forced to adopt one model. Guess what that was? Drug-based, surgery-based medicine. Everything else was branded, you got it, quackery. And they're still using that today. Anyone that talks about anything other than drugs is a quack, is a conspiracy theorist. See how many times you hear that those words being used. So we come up to today in medical school, medical students graduate with less than 20 hours of nutrition training. Less than 20 hours. In 4 years, they're trained to what? To prescribe drugs. A pill for an ill, not prevent disease. And boy, don't question that system, because you will be silenced. You will be called a conspiracy theorist. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you know I have all new teeth, so this is tough. Researchers who publish inconvenient truths are blacklisted. So what is medical education now? It's sort of a factory line for drug prescribers, not for healers like it was in the past. Pharmaceutical lobbying, gosh, this is pay for play. Pharma spends more money lobbying Congress than oil, defense, and tech combined. In 2022 alone, over $374 million went to influence lawmakers. $374 million in 1 year. A little bit more than $1 million a day. Groups like the AMA, the American Academy of Family Practice, and others, they're middlemen, shaping prescription guidelines, lobbying for favorable policies, and cashing checks from the drug companies. Yes, cashing checks, they're paid for. And listen to what I said. They shape the guidelines. And the AMA shapes the diagnosis. They put together symptoms and make up a diagnosis, give it a code, and now you can bill for it. Take that opioid crisis. Safe and effective painkillers were marketed. Doctors were incentivized to prescribe them. Entire communities were destroyed by properly prescribed drugs. My opinion, it was not an accident. Part of a business plan. Keep people sick, keep them coming back. If you cure anything, you lose a customer. And right from the beginning, the Cartel medicine group attacked natural healing. They demonized sunlight, herbs, energy therapies, nutrition, all smeared as what? What's the word? Quackery. No money to be made there. And has it stopped? Well, during the COVID, vitamin D was mocked and suppressed. Ozone therapy, IV vitamin C, ivermectin, mocked and suppressed. Doctors who spoke out were punished. Their licenses were revoked. Pharmaceutical money grants for research were taken away. And why? Because nature cannot be patented. If it could be patented, it would, let me phrase this differently. If it can't be patented, it can't generate billions. And why are the pharmaceutical companies in business? To make money, to have customers for life. So the simple truth is some of the safest, least expensive, cheapest, and most effective healing tools are being hidden from you. And please, during this vaccine debate, please don't have cognitive dissonance, which most people have had since the beginning of 2020. Cognitive dissonance, ladies and gentlemen, is the discomfort people feel when confronted with evidence that contradicts their established beliefs. And then as Hippocrates says, opinions establish those beliefs, not science. So if you have cognitive dissonance, instead of adapting to the new information, you want to cling to your old views because you want to avoid the mental effort of changing. And this could have dangerous consequences in medicine. So keep an open mind. Follow the science, not the opinions. Okay? And we're going to have a lot of that in the coming months. And read other than the rags or the newspapers, especially now with Tylenol and the flu shot and all the other shots. If they are indicated, let the science prove it. Where's the science? Well, let's see what they come up with. And how about our insurance, our sickness insurance? It is not health insurance. Insurance companies keep the trap locked. They'll pay $10,000 for chemo, but not $100 for nutrition counseling or consultation. They'll cover a lifetime of prescriptions, but they will not cover prevention. They denied affordable solutions, but approve high-margin procedures. So insurance is not about your health. It is about keeping you in the system. That's why more people are choosing direct primary care and cash-based practices, because real health is cheaper than endless sickness care. This pill for an ill paradigm has to stop. There has to be natural alternatives offered so that you can make an informed consent for your own body. What is good for you? And the big pharmaceutical companies don't want that. In fact, I'll just go along to a little rabbit trail here. The largest childhood vaccinated versus unvaccinated study in the U.S. history was recently discussed in Washington, D.C. on September 9th at a committee that is chaired by Senator Ron Johnson. This study has never been discussed, and it was completed in 2020. Its lead author was Dr. Marcus Zervis of the Henry Ford Health, a regular recipient of funding from the big pharmaceutical heavyweights. But he, Dr. Zervis, embarked on a study after speaking with Aaron Seri, a lead attorney for Informed Consent Action Network, ICAN, and ICAN CEO Del Bigtree. They challenged him that if he is right and that vaccines are indeed safe, the analysis would be a way to silence anybody that was against vaccine, quote unquote, anti-vaxxers. Sounds like a great plan, right? But here's just a summary. Guess what? Instead of publishing the results, which overwhelmingly found that children who received one or more vaccines had dramatically higher rates of chronic illnesses, Zervos, who apparently was unhappy with the outcome, instead hid the study from the public. But nevertheless, ICAN and Siri, thanks to them, the measures and outcomes finally saw the light of day in that U.S. Senate hearing. An inconvenient truth and inconvenient outcome, so they buried it. The study was hidden, but now it's revealed. That's why we have to think for ourselves and read other papers and listen to podcasts that are not bought and paid for. So a few questions I've had since last week. Dr. Ron, why don't doctors focus on prevention? Well, at the present time, doctors do not, and I'm talking about the majority, because prevention does not pay. A patient cured is a customer loss. Remember, 80+ % of physicians are employees. If they do not fit the paradigm, they lose their license, they may be censored, they may whatever. Another listener said, are natural therapies really safe? Well, the answer is safer than most drugs. Will every herb or every alternative therapy help every person? Absolutely no. But compare the risks. A carrot won't kill you, but a statins can. So another question I'll throw in here. What can I do if my insurance won't cover alternatives? Well, here's where you need to educate yourself and take charge. Lifestyle is medication. Make food your medication. We don't want to be part of the ongoing chronic disease rates, which are higher. And they're higher because we eat too much. We eat highly processed food. We're sedentary. We eat toxic seed oils. And our healthcare is fragmented. Preventative care is underutilized because it's not paid for by insurance companies. And chronic conditions often go unmanaged until they get so bad you have to go someplace. And indeed, we have this spending paradox where we spend more than any other country and have the worst results. So we're really battling a system that fosters chronic disease and chronic illnesses. Chronic illness here is both biological and societal in outcome. We have to talk about the profit-driven incentives to give a vaccine or prescribe a drug over preventative treatments. We have to have health care and not sick care. We have to make chronic disease not profitable. And we have to have some kind of watch over pharmaceutical dominance. And we have to have funding for other than drugs, lifestyle, holistic interventions. Specialists, remember, they treat symptoms in isolation. Few practitioners address the root causes like inflammation, toxicity, or trauma. But remember, a integrative, complementary, natural practicing physician, won't stop at inflammation because inflammation may not be the problem itself, but may be a response to toxins, infections, or poor circulation. So instead of saying to you, well, Mrs. Jones, you have inflammation, I'm going to give you an anti-inflammatory. Well, maybe we have to go further and drill down to the root cause and check for heavy metals, microbial infections, or bad lymph flow. Maybe you have eye issues, but maybe it may be coming from blood flow or nutrient levels or nerve health. So the physician has to dig down further. Look into your circulation, your vitamin A. Maybe your vitamin A is zinc deficient. Maybe you have inflammation in your eyes. Maybe you have stress on your optic nerve. So we have to have a system that goes beyond the symptom to find the root cause, as Dr. Jerry Smith would say. Holistic modalities are marginalized today. Energy medicine, functional nutrition, spiritual healing are dismissed, despite growing evidence and demand for them. And practitioners who challenge the pharmaceutical orthodoxy or promote integrative approaches can face professional backlash. It's easier to treat a symptom than to go for the root cause. And fear is a virus, fear-based messaging. And that's where you have to think about it. That's where your thoughts come in. And that's where your educating yourself comes into play. Diseases are always framed as inevitable and aging as a decline rather than as a process that we can influence. So that's why I'm bringing this type of information to you. We'll go on to talk more about drugs and vaccines and where we go from here. And I'll also bring you some other up-to-date information. And next week, I probably will start the podcast with more information about acetaminophen, because I've been on a tear about acetaminophen for about 4 or 5 years because of its effect on the liver. And Tylenol, acetaminophen with alcohol is deadly to your liver. So I want to just bring that to your attention again. And I thought, since so many people are taking supplements, some supplements can increase your risk of bleeding. So we want to talk about that. In addition to the white coats and what's behind the white coats, I think it's time you heard it. So we'll have follow-ups and we'll uncover the shocking toll of medical errors, even deaths from properly prescribed drugs. And I won't be filtering any truth. I'll be amplifying it for you unapologetically, unfiltered, uncensored. So this is Dr. Ron, your host. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please tell a friend. And this podcast is on Podbean. And if you download the Podbean app, they will tell you every time I have a live podcast or a scheduled one. But I am also on Spotify, BitChute, Rumble, just about any place where you get your podcasts. I do appreciate your listening. I've been appreciating your comments, especially on Apple and other platforms where this podcast is carried. And please, if you can't handle the truth, this podcast is not for you. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.
Hey everybody, Dr. Ron's finished for today. I hope you got some good wisdom for what the man had to say. If it's all about good health, he's the man you got to see. He has a lot more answers for you. So tune in next week when the doctor is in the house. Or when the doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house.